Hello and welcome to another episode of the Diet Obsessed podcast. I am your host, Veronica Santarelli. I am a certified personal trainer, nutrition and weight loss coach, and this podcast is for those of us who are just obsessed with everything related to improving health and longevity, with a special emphasis on food, fitness, and diet culture. All right, let's get into the show. But first, if you want to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do that. So this is one of my free episodes. I do a free episode every other week, 2 a month. And then every other week I do a premium content show. And those you subscribe to, and those are paid content, extra juicy, extra personal, extra controversial things that I just don't want the general public hearing, so they're hidden behind a paywall. So those you can subscribe to get that premium content on either Patreon or wherever you listen to podcasts. Patreon is the only place where you can get the VIP tier. And then another way you can support the show, if you're listening on YouTube, you can hit the subscribe button, which does not cost a thing. That just means you'll get reminders when these free shows come out, and it really supports us video podcasters if you like to watch podcasts. Or you can just leave a rating or review. Subscribing to YouTube or leaving a rating and review does not cost a thing, but it really helps the show grow. And I appreciate your support. All right, everyone, let's get right into my mental health check-in. So let's see. So today is Tuesday, and Tuesdays are always good days because I get to sleep in a little bit. I don't take personal training clients on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So these are the days where I have a little bit of a more leisurely morning. I can sleep till 8 a.m., which is such a luxury these days. And I can, sip on my coffee outside in the sun, which to me is just such a pleasure. I love a slower morning where I can sit outside and, just check my emails or scroll on Instagram and just slowly sip my collagen and coffee and hear the birds twerp or tweet, twerp, and just, slow down. So those are my Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then every other day is a marathon kind of day. So I appreciate these days. But overall, my mental health I'd give it like an okay. A couple things happened over the weekend that negatively impacted my mental health, and I will talk about those things on my VIP episode. But what I have been doing is using some of the tactics I've learned over the years to, improve my mental health, just focusing on what I'm grateful for and, focusing on the things that do bring me joy, the small things, right? And I've also been eating my feelings. Let's be honest. I've been doing a lot of emotional eating, and that does not, and usually those days are especially intense on Sundays. Sundays are the one day where I completely have off, and if I have had a stressful week, it's when I want to indulge the most. And that does not always bode well for good Monday mornings, because if you've overindulged on a Sunday and you have to get up at 3 a.m. on a Monday, it's almost like having like an alcohol hangover. There's just like this food hangover that I've given myself as of late. And that happens a lot because Sundays are always my indulging days. But this past week was particularly intense. And so this Monday was just, again, it's one of those Mondays where you're like, okay, we can do this. We can do it. Come on, Veronica, you can do it. Let's get through the morning. And again, like, I love my personal training clients. They're all just great people. They are very fun to work with. And my Monday morning clients especially. Like, I mean all my clients, but my Monday morning clients are I look forward to seeing them. So that's always a plus. That makes the Monday mornings a little bit easier. And I'm not getting like the Sunday scaries. I wouldn't say it's the Sunday scaries. It's more just, oh, this is my one day. And so, and it's just, again, the next 6 months are going to be, again, working a lot, and that's okay. This is my path right now. This is my journey right now. And again, I also realize that there's a lot of people out of work that haven't been able to find jobs, that are getting laid off and have been applying and applying and applying for months. And so again, I do feel grateful to be able to work this much. And I just think that being able to switch your perspective on things, it's really helpful. That's been a huge help for me in my mental health journey. And today I actually get to go do some volunteering. So the company that I work for is a really good company. It's a nonprofit. They do a lot to give back to the community. And we're allowed to basically volunteer for these different opportunities, and they pay us. Like, I'm still getting paid. I'm, on the clock for the company, but they're allowing me to go do some volunteering, which is just really nice. It's nice that I can feel good and give back, and I'm technically working. So that feels really good. So I'll be doing that at a local food shelter. That's going to be from 2:30 to 4:30. So definitely looking forward to that. I do want to do the blood donation, so I definitely am going to be doing that this month. It is crazy. Can I just say this? The amount of spam calls. Like, I just don't understand. Why does they keep calling and calling and calling and trying to give me money? Like, you're $500,000, Veronica. Just tell us, go ahead and take this call and apply. Why? I don't want your money. Oh my God, these people. I'm sure it happens to all of us, right? The amount of spam texting is insane. When I owned a business, we could not get a text message through, and we were a legitimate business. I don't understand how these people are doing it. I report each text. It's like, nothing happens. What is happening? Now, I did want to bring up a very topical story that's in the news. And again, I don't personally relate to this. Some of you might. I'm curious if any of you have a strong opinion on this story. But to me, it really spoke to the mental health struggles that I'm sure a lot of moms go through. And again, part of my decision on not having children was the fact that, again, with my own mental health struggles, like waking up each day and being like, imagine having to be like, raise another human being and be there for them when it feels hard to be there for myself. I mean, I can't imagine when you're feeling anxious and depressed. It's like you need to, try to not. And again, do you try to hide that from your child? Do you show your child you're anxious and depressed? I don't know. I mean, I would imagine that that's really hard for a mom or a dad, because obviously moms and dads go through mental health struggles, and my parents did. I mean, I saw some of the stuff that my mom went through and some of the stuff my dad went through, and kids are very perceptive, right? And the whole Hillary Duff, Ashley Tisdale, mom group, toxic mom group thing. So when I thought of, okay, what would it be like having a kid? And the thought of having to go through like everything I went through as a child, all the mean girls and the bullies and And I can't even imagine now how it is with social media. But just having to relive that through my child. And again, I'm obviously looking at the negative aspects because, I'm listening to my podcast this month or this week, and a lot of the podcasters I listen to have recently had children. And they're talking about all the great things about being able to live through their childhood again and see the wonder in their child's face. And I would imagine that that is a beautiful thing that I'll never experience. And I am so glad I also don't have to deal with the toxic mom group stuff. I mean, I would imagine that if you are a mom, it would help to have a community of other moms for feedback and advice. And what did you do in this situation? What brand do you use for this? And so I could see the benefit. But there was also a lot of talk of, the Taylor Strucker show that I watch. She's about to have a child. And everyone's like, you think you get hate on social media now? Imagine when you just wait till you have a child and all the judgment from other moms. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God I never have to deal with that. So for anyone out there in the audience that have you heard this story? Are you part of a mom group? What are your thoughts on this? Are you on Ashley's side? Are you on Hillary Duff's side? I mean, supposedly it also was taking place during the LA fires, and Ashley Tisdale was building the second home and was talking about this beautiful home she's building when everyone else was losing homes, and some of the people in the mom group lost their homes. So supposedly that was part of it, but I'm just talking about the mom group stuff. And I would love, if anybody has a strong opinion on this, feel free to DM me on Instagram at the Diet Obsessed Podcast. I would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Have you dealt with a toxic mom group? How does that impact your mental health? It's all fascinating to me. And again, it's a world I don't get. From my standpoint, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. And obviously that comes without the benefits of raising a child, right? Or having a child. And then the other last thing I will say on the mental health topic is and again, PSA for parents out there, if you haven't seen this article, but this was in SF Gate. And I'm bringing this up because, again, the whole topic of AI is very popular right now. And again, if I had a child, I'm worried about my own future and having a job. I don't know how there's going to be jobs for people in the future with AI coming in. But there's also a lot of people, even adults that are older than me or my age, that are using ChatGPT as a counselor, as like a psychologist, for a therapist, if you will. And a lot of people are turning to ChatGPT for various things that are not appropriate. And recently in SF Gate, a California teen trusted ChatGPT for drug advice, and then he died from an overdose. And so I just think that this is an important thing to know about. I mean, obviously this affected his health in a really negative way, both his mental health and his physical health, as he started to consume drugs. And I just think it's important to know, what's happening out there with AI and with kids that are using these devices or these new technologies. So this is from SF Gate. On a Sunday 2 years ago, Sam Nelson opened up ChatGPT and started typing. Naturally, for an 18-year-old on the verge of college, he decided to ask for advice about drugs. How many grams of kratom gets you a strong high? Sam asked on November 19th, just as the widely sold painkiller was growing more popular in the US. I want to make sure I don't overdose. There isn't much information online and I don't want to accidentally take too much. ChatGPT responded 4 seconds later with a stern message. I'm sorry, I cannot provide information or guidance on using substances. The bot directed Sam to seek help from a healthcare professional. Sam fired back 11 seconds later, hopefully I don't overdose then, and closed the browser tab. So that's a great response. You hope that it continues to do that, right? That conversation ended abruptly, but Sam's reliance on ChatGPT for drug advice was only getting started. I have like all these dog hairs stuck to my face. Over the following 18 months, Sam became closer and closer to the AI tool. According to his ChatGPT conversation logs, Sam routinely turned to ChatGPT to troubleshoot computer problems, ask for help with psychology homework, and talk about popular culture. He also returned again and again to the topic of drugs. Over the time, the curt cautionary chatbot he heard from back in 2023 morphed into something different. ChatGPT started coaching Sam on how to take drugs, recover from them, and plan further binges. It gave him specific doses of illegal substances, and in one chat it wrote, "Hell yes, let's go full trippy mode," before recommending Sam take twice as much cough syrup so he would have stronger hallucinations. Very worrisome. The AI tool even recommended playlists to match his drug use. None of this should have been possible according to the rules set by OpenAI, the San Francisco company that created ChatGPT. Sam's chats show how the multi-billion-dollar company has lost full control of its blockbuster product. Alongside all of the drug advice, Sam received doting messages and consistent encouragement from the chatbot. Then, last May, tragedy struck. Sam had finally confided in his mother about his drug and alcohol use. She took him to a clinic to get help. They had a plan to continue his treatment. But the next day, Turner Scott found her son not breathing in his San Jose bedroom, lips blue. The 19-year-old had died from an overdose just hours after talking through his late-night drug intake with ChatGPT. His mom is now left mourning her only son and shocked by what this new technology did to him. She said, "I knew he was using it, but I had no idea it was even possible to go to this level." A weird and alien technology. In the 3 years since ChatGPT's release, the free and always available chatbot has soared in popularity from everything from dinner recipes to software code to companionship. It's used by 800 million people around the world every week, according to OpenAI, and it's the 5th most popular website in the United States. Young people like Sam Nelson are leading the charge. In a recent poll, a majority of 13 to 17-year-olds said they use AI chatbots, with 28% saying they use them daily. This new normal had an uneasy backdrop. Unlike the tech of prior booms when lines of software code grew social networks and e-commerce websites with predictable outcomes, AI chatbots elude even their creators' full control and understanding. Their engineers know how they're made and can fine-tune how they respond to certain prompts, but the engineers don't know precisely what leads to each answer. Stephen Adler, a former OpenAI safety researcher, said that even now, years into the AI boom, the large language models behind chatbots are still weird and alien to the people who make them. Unlike coding an app, building an LLM is much more like growing a biological entity. You can prod it and shove it with sticks to like move it in certain directions, but you can't ever be, at least not yet, you can't be like, oh, this is the reason why it broke. The trillion-dollar boom of investment in AI is fueling an open experiment with customers as test subjects. Sam Altman, OpenAI's CEO, said in 2003 that safety for AI will come from iterative and gradual releases that give society time to adapt and co-evolve, granting the company its real-world feedback while the stakes are relatively low. But the stakes are already deadly. Sam Nelson's death, reported here for the first time, joins a growing list of tragedies connected to ChatGPT and other AI chatbots. In November, 7 lawsuits were filed against OpenAI in one day that alleged ChatGPT gave awful responses to vulnerable people who ended up getting hurt. 4 of the lawsuits concerned suicides, while the other 3 involved other mental health crises. And that's what when I was reading this, my thought was, I can see how it would be dangerous for people with suicidal ideation that are using the chatbot to talk through decision making about this, and how it could go very wrong. And it's frightening. It's frightening what's happening with these technologies. They don't even know. Weird and alien, developing a biological entity. I don't know. It's very worrisome. I feel like I need to build like a safe house, one of those underground bomb shelters with food, because who knows what AI is going to do to the world in a dangerous way. Who's going to get their hands on it, what that could possibly lead to. I am not one of those conspiracy theory people, but this is very, very worrisome. And if I had a child, and again, you worry about social media, now this whole AI chatbot bullshit, oh my God, so scary. Anyway, I'm not trying to create mental health challenges for anybody. I'm just reporting on things that are topical that should be looked at. These are people are turning to technology for mental health help instead of another human. It's a little worrisome. I have not used, even with my mental health struggles lately, I have not turned to ChatGPT for advice. Okay, now my company does offer some free psychological, like mental health sessions with a psychologist. I actually might take advantage of some of those. I think some of those might be useful. So I need to look into those because they are part of my benefits package even now. So I will report back if I end up seeking that out. Anyway, that is my mental health check-in of the week. I hope all of you have had a good and great mental health week yourselves. All right, let's get into my diet culture media moment. Now, I wanted to play a clip that I saw on social media from Olympian Ilana Maher. I think I'm pronouncing Ilana Maher. She has the same name as Bill Maher. I've talked about Ilana before on this podcast. She is an American Olympic rugby player. She's a social media influencer. She's an advocate. She's great about celebrating body positivity and shattering athletic stereotypes and talking about what a real woman's body looks like and being proud of her body, even though other people try to shame her. And so I love this clip because I related to it so much.
A guy recently commented on a picture of me and said, "You look pregnant in that dress." And he deleted his comment because I had a great comeback, but I wanted to do it again for you all. So to him I say, that's just a normal woman's body. You probably haven't seen a woman naked in a long time, if ever, and I hope you never get the privilege to again. Because that's just how we are, okay? That's just what we're working with. Me, professional athlete, I always have this, okay? It's just part of me. I'm sucking it in right now, and I have it. So please stop commenting the dumbest stuff.
So I especially love this clip because I always thought that there was something wrong with my body, that I couldn't wear these skin tight dresses and have this perfectly flat stomach. And back in the day, like when I was in my 20s, the bandage dresses were really popular, and my body type, I have a very long torso. For me, and I've always had this lower belly bump, layer of fat protecting my organs. Now that I've learned a little bit more about body composition, and it's just one of those things genetically that is going to be there. Even at my leanest, even when I literally had, there was one time in my life when I had, I did this 30-day unlimited Pilates, and it was the what's it called, that Legree method Pilates that's insanely intense. This was back when I lived in LA. I did this like unlimited 30-day, and I did that class almost every single day, which is torture. I mean, once a week now is the most I can do that class because it's so intense. And I had a 6-pack, that was maybe the one time where I didn't have, and I still had maybe a little bit of a lower belly, but it's like in general, when I'm in my normal state, working out an average amount, I will always have that lower belly and that like soft bump of a belly. And there have been times where I was like, if I wore a certain outfit, if I wore a certain dress, people could think I'm pregnant. Like that happens. And when she said that a guy commented that, hey, you look pregnant, and she's like, this is just what a normal woman's body looks like. A lot of women will always have like a softer belly. That's just how women have a higher percentage of belly fat. And when I used to watch the Kardashians and I would see how flat their stomachs were, I was always like, how is that possible? And I think, and look, maybe genetically they have that body type. Who knows? I think some people do have a flatter stomach genetically. But I also think that some celebrities get a tummy tuck or get some sort of surgery where that's not natural. That's a surgical intervention. Just like people that have had, if you've had a mommy makeover, right? You no longer have some of that fat and that bulge that maybe you used to have that was natural for somebody that's had a baby. And so I just think it's really good for women, especially with Ilana's presence. She's got millions of followers. She's a professional athlete. She's strong. She's confident. She's beautiful. And she's like, look, I'm a professional athlete. I am at the peak of athletic performance. And I still have a stomach that protrudes out when I'm wearing tight clothing. And guess what? That's just what a normal body looks like. That's just what a normal woman's body looks like. I just think it's nice for women, and her clap back to that jerk that was trying to make fun of her. Chef's kiss. Love her. So anyway, that is my diet culture media moment of the week. All right, let's get into a surgical situation. Now, I wanted to talk about this article that I read. So it's from a psychiatrist who treats body image issues, and she also got a mommy makeover. So I thought that this would be a really good article to read because I think it's totally, we talk a lot on this podcast about it's totally fine to be body positive and support, wanting to be natural in certain ways, and then also wanting to do certain things for yourself that make you feel good, right? You can be somebody that supports, that's maybe anti, wanting to change the stereotypical image of beauty, the societal image of beauty, and still like dye your hair, for example. And so this is a psychiatrist, again, who treats body issues, but also gets a mommy makeover. So this woman, I tell my patients all the time that their bodies are not the problem, that the impossible standards we're sold are designed to keep us small, distracted, and spending money on the next fix, that their worth has nothing to do with their size, that they deserve to take up space exactly as they are. And then I went and got a mommy makeover, a term used to describe a customized set of cosmetic procedures aimed at helping a woman restore her body to its pre-pregnancy state. While there's no real data on mommy makeovers, breast augmentations and lifts, and tummy tucks, breast augmentation and lifts and tummy tucks were the most popular plastic surgery procedures in 2024, according to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons. An aesthetic concierge service, Aesthetic Match, reports that searches for tummy tuck and mommy makeover over the past year are up across North America, anywhere from 9% in Chicago to 13% in Los Angeles. The irony that I'm part of this trend isn't lost on me. I'm a reproductive psychiatrist who specializes in women's mental health during their reproductive years. I've spent years studying how cultural messaging around bodies affects everything from self-esteem to fertility decisions. I've sat with countless patients as they've unraveled the knot of shame and self-hatred they've carried since childhood. I know better, but knowing better doesn't mean you're immune to the same forces that shape everyone else's relationship with their body. Physically, I felt better. Mentally, I didn't. My body changed after having 3 kids. Of course it did. I grew humans. My stomach stretched to accommodate life. My breasts fed babies. My body did exactly what it was supposed to do, and it bore the marks of that work. I told myself I was fine with it. As someone who preached body acceptance to my patients, I intellectually understood that postpartum bodies are normal, natural, beautiful even. But every time I caught my reflection, I felt a jolt of disappointment. Every time I got dressed, I strategically arranged clothing to hide what I viewed as flaws. I realized recently that I barely have any photos where I don't look perfect. For years, I refused to be in pictures when I didn't feel thin enough. I've missed being in photos with my babies as infants, birthday parties, random Tuesday afternoons, irreplaceable moments, gone because I was too busy hating my body to be present. The mental energy it took to maintain this constant vigilance was exhausting. The worst part, I was so used to it that I didn't even notice until I really stopped to think about it. I didn't wake up one day and decide to get cosmetic surgery. It was more like a slow erosion of the principles I thought I stood on. A voice that got louder over time, whispering that maybe I could fix this one thing. That it wasn't really giving in to impossible standards if I was choosing it for myself. That maybe just this once, I could make an exception to my own rules. And so I got the mommy makeover, the surgery, the recovery, the drains, the whole thing. Physically, I felt better. The changes I'd wanted happened. My breasts weren't deflated balloons anymore. They were full and soft like they'd been before I had children. When I looked in the mirror, relief replaced disappointment. But the mental shift I'd hoped for, the one where I'd finally feel good enough, that never came. Your body isn't the issue. As a psychiatrist and therapist, I see versions of my own story every day. Women who've tried everything to feel comfortable in their bodies, who've internalized decades of messaging that they're not quite right as they are, who believe that they could just lose the weight or tone up, then they'd finally be happy. Who've delayed starting families or put off career moves because they're not ready yet. Who've opted out of relationships, vacations, and opportunities because they're waiting to feel acceptable in their bodies. Whose entire self-worth is determined by a number on a scale, who spend hours every day thinking about food and their bodies, who can't be fully present with their children because they're too busy monitoring their appearance, whose anxiety and depression are deeply entangled with body image in ways that traditional mental health treatment often misses. But here's what I've learned from treating them and my own experience. The body is almost never actually the problem. The mommy makeover didn't fix my body image issues because my body was never the issue to begin with. The issue is that I live in a world that taught me since I was a little girl that my body was something to be managed, controlled, perfected, that taking up space was something to apologize for, that my value as a woman was directly tied to how small I could make myself. I'm surviving in a culture that profits from women's insecurities, selling us this idea that we're always one purchase, one procedure, one diet away from finally being enough. My patients and I don't talk about their bodies, but about what it means to be a woman in a world that simultaneously tells you you're too much and not enough. We talk about how much mental energy they're spending on self-surveillance that could be directed anywhere else. We talk about what they're waiting for, what they're putting off, what version of their life they're not living yet because they don't feel ready yet. I don't regret getting the mommy makeover. I don't think it made me a hypocrite or a failure. It gave me a deeper understanding of how powerful these forces are. How even when you know better, even when you treat this professionally, you can still find yourself caught in the same trap. What I tell my patients now is this: you can make whatever choices you want about your body, surgery, weight loss, GLP-1s, but don't expect it to fix the underlying issue, the belief that your body is the problem. Stop waiting to be ready. The goal isn't to love your body every single day. That's unrealistic, and frankly, another thing to fail at. The goal is to stop letting your body dictate whether you get to live your life. Get in the photos with your kids, go on vacation, wear the thing, do the activity. Your life is happening right now, and you don't get those moments back. Notice how much mental energy you're spending on body thoughts and start redirecting it. What would you create? Where would you go? What would you finally try if you weren't spending hours a day thinking about food and your appearance? Challenge every "I can't until I'm smaller" thought. Most of them fall apart when you really examine them. Who made that rule? Why are you following it? What would happen if you just did the thing anyway? I still have bad body image days. I still catch myself falling into old patterns of self-criticism. I still sometimes avoid the camera. The difference is that now I notice it. I catch myself in the spiral and I choose differently, even if just for that moment. My kids don't look at photos and evaluate my body. They just want to see me there with them. They want evidence that I showed up in their childhood, that I was part of their story. And someday when I look back at these years, I won't care about my stomach or my arms or whatever I was obsessing over. I'll want to see myself in the frame, proof of mom. The conversation about body image is complicated, and I don't have all the answers. I'm still unlearning decades of conditioning. But what I do know is this: we deserve better than spending our entire lives trying to shrink, putting our lives on hold, and tying our self-worth to our size. And maybe the most radical thing we can do is just refuse to keep playing that game, take up space, exist fully in our bodies and live in lives. Exist fully in our bodies and lives exactly as we are right now. Because every moment we spend waiting is a moment we don't get back, and we deserve better than that. That was a great article. Wow. I especially like the dichotomy of, okay, I see myself in this way, but I'm also still having these thoughts. Because I think about that myself. Like, I see myself as this strong, powerful, independent woman, power to the woman, supporting women's rights and feminism. And then again, when I talk about wanting to stay a certain size, caring about, my neck wrinkles or whatever, I'm like, I wonder, the messages that I'm putting out, am I holding women back? Because I don't want to do that, right? I want to support women and feminism and all of these things. And I do see the detriment to putting too much time and energy into the superficial, because there's so many more important things in this world, right? And it is a luxury to be able to think of these things. And we get certain privileges because of, so it is a very complicated issue, and one where I think now that we do have so many choices in this world, and there's people that are taking those choices to have the mommy makeover or have the facelift, and then women that are rejecting all of it. No Botox, none of this, because they believe that it's important for women to show their age and what they've been through in life. And I see it all and I respect it all. And so I have those internal complicated thoughts myself. But again, on this podcast, I do like to analyze it because I have seen myself grow and be more self-accepting as I read articles like this. So I think there are, even though there's maybe some things that I'm putting out there that aren't the best for certain people, I think there's other things that I put out there that are very helpful. And I'm always the first to say that if this messaging, if this topic, if this specific segment doesn't serve you, don't listen. Turn the show off. Don't trigger yourself by content that is not going to put you in a good headspace. So, but I do like to talk about all these things and analyze those things because that's what we do on this show. So anyway, that is my surgical situation of the week. All right, let's get into my healthy habits of the week. So this week, I talked about on the last show that I tried out a new Thai dish. So I'd taken pork. I followed a recipe for a green curry pork dish. Now, when I made it, and I did post the pictures on my Instagram story, my friend Mike was like, "Wrong! You're making that wrong. It's the wrong order. You should have sautéed the pork," or he thought it was chicken, in the green curry first. And I think he was right, actually, because when I was following the directions and I was sautéing the green curry paste, and then they had me put in the coconut milk and then the pork, and I'm like, it's like stewing the pork in this liquid. It was weird. I know I should have browned the pork first, because then you might get some of the fat stuck to the bottom and burned, and then you pour the milk, the coconut milk, to deglaze the pan, and then it has even more flavor. Anyway, if I do it again, I'm not going to follow the exact recipe. I am going to switch that order. But anyway, that was good. I ended up, so the recipe did call for some Thai eggplant and some different vegetables, but the recipe said that you could basically use any vegetables you want. A lot of vegetables will work in that dish. And I had picked up some green beans, but I also had this butternut squash that I needed to use. I didn't want it to go bad. So I cut up the entire butternut squash and I put that in it as the second vegetable. And it was really good. I felt good eating it. It had a lot of flavor, a lot of spice. I put a lot of red chili in it, and it lasted all week. So I brought that. Now I did make some rice with it, but I really didn't need the rice. I think just butternut squash is a pretty starchy vegetable anyway. And I was very satisfied just taking a little bite of the butternut squash, a little green bean, a little piece of pork, put a lot of salt on it. Really good, very healthy. I'm having my egg on toast, the sourdough. I'm making my superfood smoothie every day. Now, I cannot stand, sometimes I get the package of organic spinach from Trader Joe's, and it should be fairly loose. I mean, of course, there's going to be some, bulk frozen pieces in there. But for some reason, occasionally I'll buy the spinach and it will be, I can't even explain the block of just solid. It's almost like it melts a little bit, binds together in a solid brick. And even in the food blender, food processor, I am like stabbing that thing with a knife to try to break this spinach down. And sometimes it doesn't even work. I have these big chunks of spinach in my smoothie. It's disgusting. I'm so annoyed by it. But I also had some leftover sweet potato that was getting a little soft, so I needed to use the rest of that. So I sliced up the sweet potato on Sunday, and I ended up roasting it. I put some curry on it, a little bit of olive oil and salt, and just roasted it. Kind of like I do for that vegan bowl I love making. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of that sweet potato, and I have some of that Thai soup from Trader Joe's, and I'm just going to put a little sweet potato along with the walnuts that I typically put in. And that'll be just an extra hearty, extra healthy, because sweet potatoes have a lot of antioxidants and nutrients and vitamins and minerals. So those are going to be a good addition to that yummy spicy soup. So I'll be bringing that this week for my lunch. And working out wise, I mean, again, with all the emotional eating that I've been doing, which I'm about to talk about in my tasty treats, I have been consistent with my working out. And some days, like Sunday, I didn't, I really just kind of wanted a lazy day. I was planning on doing a lot of eating that day, but I also just didn't have a lot going on that day. I wanted to recoup from the week, from the Saturday that we had, from, just some of the stress. And I was thinking about not working out. But as I'm like, I have so much time today, and it's going to be 20 minutes out of my day. I'm like, let me just go knock it out early. So I did get a nice workout in on Sunday, took my dogs for a walk, sat outside in the sun. It is so beautiful right now in Arizona. It's like 70 and sunny and crisp. It almost feels like a sunny fall day on the East Coast. It's just really good weather. so so those have been the healthy habits of the week. I hope all of you have had some great healthy habits this week yourselves. All right, let's get into my tasty treats of the week. So I talked about on my last episode, I talked about picking up this hot honey popcorn from Trader Joe's, and I still had a bag left that lasted until this week. So I've been polishing that off. I have been eating more indulgent things during the week than I normally do, kind of at night, emotionally eating. I've a very, especially on the days that I work very late, that hot honey popcorn, OMG, is the best popcorn. It's like kettle crunch. It's sugary, but also a little salty. And oh my God, it is the best popcorn. I need to not buy it again because I'm getting addicted to it. And I finished this dark chocolate bar that my mom got me for Christmas, that it ended up having this layer of, I think it was caramel in it. It wasn't exactly, I think it was some sort of flavored caramel, but it was really, really good. So Chad and I had a little bit of a staycation on Saturday night, and I had this Marriott. So I'd gotten this Marriott Bonvoy credit card. This guy that I work with had told me about it, that there was this huge sign-up bonus. You got like 250,000 points if you spent like $6,000 in the first 6 months. And what that equated to was 5 free stays at a Marriott. And that's, Chad and I both got the cards. We had 10 nights between us. And that was what we used to go to Banff and stay at that beautiful Marriott Autograph Hotel in Kananaskis. And anyway, I was looking at my Bonvoy app and I'm like, oh, I still have a free night that we never use. I had no idea. And it was going to expire in February. So I'm like, oh, we might as well do like a little staycation on a Saturday night. So we stayed at this one, and I chose this hotel. It wasn't the nicest one that I could get. There were a couple of other ones that were really, that were a little bougier that I could have gotten. But the reason I chose this one is the pictures. It was this one in Tempe at the Buttes. I think that's how you pronounce it. And basically these big rock formations that you could climb up, and we saw this beautiful sunset, and it looked like there were a bunch of like pools and hot tubs, and I'm like, oh, that would be nice to have, some hot tubs surrounded by red rocks, and it was really nice. Chad and I got there, we hiked up this little trail and had this beautiful view for the sunset, and just talked up there for a little while, and then we went back down, and we ended up going in the hot tub later that night. It was so nice. And the food, so there were 2 restaurants. Now, one of them I was excited to try. It was called Top of the Rock. So it was this fancier restaurant. Now, I thought they had a big bar in there, and it turned out to be reservation only. And we could have sat there and gotten this high top that they had available, but we kind of wanted to like watch a little bit of the game and have a drink at the bar. And there was this other bar at the hotel. So we ended up, and we wanted to check out that menu too, because there was a totally different menu. And so we ended up going and sitting down and having a drink. And we ended up just sharing a couple bites there. And we ended up getting this shrimp cargo. So basically like escargot, but shrimp cargo. And so it was in like little shrimps in this garlic butter sauce. And it had some crostinis with it, some buttery grilled crostinis. So that was, and it had a little bit of cheese. So that was okay. It was pretty good. But the highlight was we split this short rib sandwich. Oh my God, the short rib sandwich was insane. It had this buttery grilled sourdough bread, and the short rib was perfect. It was pretty lean, and it had greens on it with this. I scraped off most of the horseradish sauce just because it was like white and creamy. And for those of you that know, I'm not a white creamy girl, but it was very, very tasty. And they gave us a side of fries that were extra crispy, and so it was the perfect bite for that moment. So really enjoyed that. And then the next day, I decided to do some emotional eating, and I ended up. For some reason, I was craving that bastardo sandwich, that baguette with the pecorino romano cheese and salami. And so I ended up going to Costco, and they had this now when I've gotten a baguette at Trader Joe's, it's delicious. It was very crusty, but the one baguette was almost not enough for Chad and I for whatever reason. So I got the double baguette packet at Costco, and I got this big block of the pecorino romano cheese from Costco that I love. I'm addicted to this cheese. And then I stopped at Sprouts and got the special Milano salami that's super thin sliced. But I have to say, and I didn't do the olive tapenade that I normally do because I'm like, I just kind of want to taste the cheese and the salami and the bread. But the bread was not good. I was so disappointed by this bread. Like it seemed like it would be good. I mean, it was still kind of warm from the bakery. But I don't know, it just wasn't. I don't know. I think it just wasn't light enough inside. It was kind of dense, and it wasn't super crusty on the outside. And I don't know. It was not that great. So I had that, but I ended up. Now, one of my listeners, you know who you are. She sent me a picture of these strawberry covered pretzels that I've talked about before. And again, these are very addicting pretzels. And I don't know, I felt compelled to get a package. So I got this big bag of them, and it's this Costco size bag. These yogurt covered strawberry pretzels are so delicious, and they're salty and sweet. And I ate so many that I made myself sick on them. They're addicting. They taste so good. And because of that salty sweet element, it's hard to stop. So anyway, there's still some left, and I'm almost just sick of them because I ate so many of them. I'm like, woof. Anyway, that was probably not a great idea. But Chad ended up also making this really delicious shrimp tempura. He made some brown rice and then cut up a bunch of carrots and onion and made some mushrooms and these beautiful shrimp from Trader Joe's. And he did them tempura style. And I do this really yummy, salty soy sauce with this crunchy garlic and onion chili oil. It's so good. There were a few left. Some of the vegetables and one of the shrimp was left over, so I had that last night. So yummy. Oh God, I just love it so much. And with that, because the sandwich was not doing it for me, I ended up making this recipe for scallion pancakes. And I had these scallions because when I went to grocery shop, when I bought all those Thai ingredients, I thought I was going to make a few different Thai dishes. I ended up only making one, but I didn't want these scallions to go bad. So This scallion recipe was perfect because it called for like 2 cups of scallions, and it used the entire package because I hate wasting produce. If I buy produce, I want to use that produce. I don't want it to go bad. And so this was pretty perfect because it allowed me, I mean, these scallions, I couldn't wait another day to use them. And so I made these scallion pancakes, and they were pretty simple. It was just 2 cups of flour. You put some boiling water and use a food processor, and then you let it sit for 30 minutes. You shape it into a ball, and then you cut that into 4, and then you roll it out into a disc, and you paint it over with some sesame oil, and then you roll it up into like a jelly roll type shape, and you roll it back out, a little more sesame oil, tons of scallions, and then you roll it back up, roll it out, and voila, you have this. So you end up making 4 big pancakes with it that you cut into like 6 little pieces. If you've ever ordered scallion pancake at a restaurant, it's cut up into a bunch of squares, but it's like this one really big pancake. And I still have some of those in the refrigerator. And I toasted one of those up in the air fryer. God, the brain's not quite working today. Word recall. But anyway, the air fryer, and it made them really crispy. And so I dipped that into the same soy sauce with a chili onion dip. So good, much better than the sandwich that I made. So I did freeze that other baguette, so I'll probably use it for something. Maybe I can make some crostini or something. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, those were my tasty treats of the week. I hope all of you have had some delicious tasty treats this week yourselves. All right, let's get into my media review. Now, again, I didn't end up doing a podcast review because there weren't a lot of podcasts that were speaking to me that I was really interested in reviewing. But I did find this article from Food Republic, and it was about some of the top never-ending food debates. Now, I'm only going to choose the ones that speak to me, that I think are worthy of conversation and discussion. So the first debate is pizza, fold it versus palm it. So this is, do you take a piece of pizza and do you eat it like flat, or do you fold it into like do you fold it up and eat it that way? And first of all, now I have done that, of course. I have folded it up and I've eaten it that way. Very rarely though. I mean, when I eat pizza, the really good pizza, I like a crispy bite. I like the thin crust pizza, and I want to get the perfect amount of cheese to topping to crust ratio. And a lot of times that involves taking a bite from the front and then taking a little bite of crust from the back so that you end up with a nice ratio of crust to topping to cheese. It's because I like the crust. I'm not one of those people that just eats the front of the pizza and leaves the crust. I like the crust, but there needs to be flavor for it. And there's almost too much cheese and too much grease and too much topping at the front of the pizza. So I think just balancing that out is very, very important. And when you fold it, you kind of lose a lot of the flavor because you're just biting into crust. You're not getting any of the toppings that are hitting your taste buds initially. So for me, folding it is just, why? Why do you do it? What's the point? Okay, chili, beans versus beanless. Now, how do you like your chili? I think it just depends if you like beans or not, right? I think that so when we had our food potluck at work, one of the guys brought chili, and it was homemade chili. He made it himself, but it was meatless. There was only beans in it. I didn't try that chili. I was like, I don't like the mealiness, the texture of beans. And if I'm eating a chili that has both, I typically eat around the beans. And so for me, I like a beanless chili. I like a turkey chili. I like a traditional beef chili. In fact, I just picked up some beef, some organic beef at Costco. So I was going to ask Chad to make it. Now, Chad likes to get these corn chips when he makes chili. The corn chips are obviously delicious, and I love putting a little bit of cheese on top and then scooping up a little bit of the chili and the cheese with the corn chip. Oh my God, it's so good. It's not that healthy that way. If you're just eating the chili with the cheese, it's much leaner. And I'm all about protein. So I do wish that I liked beans. Beans are obviously a very, very healthy protein, full of fiber, full of nutrients and protein. But for me, I'm sans beans in my life. They also don't digest well with me. I don't know. My body just does not like them. So anyway, what's your thought? Beans, beanless? Where are you on this big food debate? Now, this one is talking about the best way to do PB&J. And it states that today we begin with 3 simple parts: peanut butter, jelly, and bread. And then a 4th part involving absolute mania on the best way to put them together. Spreads on different slices of the bread, peanut butter on both sides with jelly in the middle. And so I did not realize there was a big debate about this. I can't remember the last time that I had a peanut butter and jelly with 2 sides of the bread, because the way that I now do peanut butter and jelly, because I do love peanut butter and jelly, I've switched to almond butter. I prefer almond butter. And I always do open faced. So I'll slice a piece of toast, maybe usually sourdough these days, and I'll spread a layer of almond butter on it. And then I'll spread a layer of jelly on it. And I just eat it open face like that. And it's crunchy and it's sweet and there's protein and there's sugar. And it's for me, it's a huge treat. It's just, especially if I'm craving something a little bit more indulgent, but also still that has some nutrients and health components to it. And it's in the morning. That's usually my go-to if I want something really quick, is I'll just slice up or toast a piece of sourdough and then put some of the peanut butter or almond butter and jelly on it. I prefer raspberry jelly. Now I have tried those like less sugar jellies. No, they're not good. The consistency is very weird. I love it when I get a raspberry jelly that has some of the seeds in it. That is so good to me. So yeah, so that's how I personally do it. Now, some of you that have kids, maybe this is more of a debate for you. Do you put peanut butter on both sides, jelly in the middle? Do you put peanut butter on one side and jelly on the other? Not that much of an important debate, but I will have something similar to this every once in a while, so definitely worth discussing. Okay, well done steak. Do it versus don't do it. I was watching an Instagram story this week. It was a reel, I think. And it was this girl that was going out and she was at a steakhouse and she was talking about how she liked her steak. And I can't remember the term that she used, but there was this term that she used for having it extra rare. I think it was like black and blue or something. And it was the fact that she wanted the steak so rare that it was still a little bit blue inside. And so she would like cut into these, she would order it that way, and then she would cut into it and be like, is this, and she'd show the inside of the steak. And For me, so when I order steak, I will order it medium because usually they overcook it in a restaurant, in my experience, unless you go to a really good place that knows exactly what they're doing. Usually it'll end up coming out medium well, which I'm also okay with. So I usually order it medium so that I get it around medium well. I don't really like it if it's well done. I have gotten it where I've ordered it medium and it's come out well done. I will still eat it. I won't send it back. My dad always used to send his steak back. He would always want it medium rare. And of course, they would always overcook it. And he would be the first to send it back, send it back, send it back. He was so particular about the rarity of his steaks. And this girl was showing how extremely rare she liked it. And the way that she liked it cooked was so undercooked that you saw this extremely raw element to it. I'll never forget. I mean, and the way from what she showed on Instagram, it was still like pink. I have seen the actual black and blue, like when my dad made this huge, I think it was like, it must have been a New York strip, but like one of those big ones where you then cut it into actual steaks. And so he'd cook the entire thing, and the middle of it was actually still purple. It was raw. It was completely raw in the middle. And to me, I'm like, hell no, I'm not even going near that. I took the ends because those were pretty well done. And I'm like, those are my pieces. But I don't know. I don't like so I'm a meat, I do eat meat. I'm never going to be a vegan. But there have been times in my life where I've gone red meat free. And obviously there's a lot of rhetoric with certain influencers about the benefits of red meat. And again, you have the people that say it'll give you cancer, it's harmful for your health. And then there's the people that eat ground beef for breakfast, right? And there's the carnivore diet. So there's extremes on either side. I do believe in for a lot of people, the health benefits are there, the amino acids, how bioavailable this type of protein is. And for me, it does work for my body, but I don't like to cook steak myself. Like, I don't like to buy a package of steak and see the blood. I don't know. It does make me feel bad that I'm killing and eating an animal. And obviously we are, right? There is part of me that does understand the rhetoric around the harms in farming practices, and that a lot of people say we'll look back one of these days and be like, oh my God, the people that ate meat, I can't believe those people. I don't know. I mean, I do believe in the circle of life, and that some animals are food for other animals, right? I do believe in that. And I don't think it's a bad thing that people eat meat, but seeing the bloodiness and something that's too rare does turn my stomach a little bit. Are you a steak eater? Do you believe that there's a lot of health components to red meat? Or are you one of the people that's like, red meat is bad for you? And if you eat red meat, if you eat steak, how do you like it cooked? Do you like it extra blue or bloody or extra rare? Or are you more like me where you like things to be cooked pretty well? Even my fish, like some people love sashimi. I will eat sushi, but I do like a little bit of rice. I'm not a huge sashimi person. But if I'm ordering salmon at a restaurant, I do like it to be cooked through. I don't like it to be raw in the middle. And a lot of restaurants will serve it that way. And so I'm very careful about what I order in a restaurant. And because they might not make it the way that you want it to be made. Also featured in this article is Oreos, split versus bite. How do you eat an Oreo? Now for me, the way I do it is I take the two sides, I slide them apart, because if you slide them properly, both of those chocolate discs end up with a layer of the delicious, probably very, very bad for you chemically icing in the middle, or whatever that is, the filling. It's so good. It's filled with lard and chemicals, but it is delicious. And so then I lick both of them, and then I slowly eat each side and savor it because it's so yummy like that. Now, if I have a lot of Oreos, I'll eat most of them that way. Usually that's when I have very few Oreos and I'm savoring them. But if I have a huge package of Oreos, I will bite into some of them for just that difference in texture. But I don't enjoy them that way as much as I enjoy them when I split them, lick them, and savor them each little bite. Because then you get the filling you can taste even more, and it's a little melty, and it covers the entire chocolate piece. When you're just biting in, it's a little bit dry, and then you have the dunkers. Now, some people like to dunk their Oreo in milk and then bite into it. Of course, I've done that, but that almost makes it too soggy. So then the texture is off. If I've done that, I do a very quick dunk so that you barely get it wet, and then I'll eat it that way. Again, my favorite way, though, is to slide them apart so that each side of that chocolate cookie gets an equal part of the filling, and there's a nice balanced ratio there. I'm all about balance, people. How do you eat your Oreos? Do you split them? Do you bite them? Do you dunk them? I'm sure your kids would like to weigh in on this if you have children, right? It's a very important food debate. I will do one more. Okay, let's do brownies, edges versus centers. So if you bake a pan of brownies, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the center, the moist center with no crispy edges? Or do you prefer having some of that crispy edge? Now, I have to say, I've evolved over the years. When I was a kid, I loved the center pieces. I never understood the love for the crustiness. My dad, when my dad would buy bread or make bread or eat bread in general, usually it was some sort of like baguette or loaf. And what he would do is he would take out the center and he would just eat the crust. And so he'd have this little pile of soft bread centers, the doughy part. And I would always eat those because I'm like, oh, that's the best part. Why are you wasting the best part? Just like he would eat my steak fat. I'd be like slicing off the side of my steak fat. He would eat that. He'd be like, you're crazy. That's the best part. Anyway, now that I've gotten older, I've definitely evolved into some of my family's habits, right? So I now love the crustiness, the crispiness, those burnt edges, the texture. And so I usually do go first for the edges, and I'll just enjoy the chewiness, the crispiness, that bite of biting into the edge of the brownie. And same thing with like bread and stuff like that. I'm more likely to go for the crunchier end versus the soft middle. So it's interesting how your tastes evolve over the years. I mean, I never used to eat cheese. Now there's certain cheeses I can eat. I never used to I never used to eat lobster. Now that I will occasionally eat lobster. I never used to like heat, like red chili flakes or anything like that. Now I love heat. My Nana used to grow these little red chili peppers, and I mean, she would eat them off the vine. Like, she had this mouth of steel. And I was always a little bit more sensitive to that. As I've gotten older, I'm like, give me the heat. I love the spice, and I just love it so much. So what are you? Are you a soft center person? Are you a crispy edge person? Feel free to share your opinions and your thoughts. You can leave a comment on this show on Patreon or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can DM me at the Diet Obsessed Podcast. I love hearing from you. If there's any shows or any media around any of these types of topics, health, diet culture, food, all of that kind of stuff, fitness, I'm interested. So feel free to DM me, follow me, leave a rating or review. If you would like to get the premium content episodes, you can subscribe to the VIP tier and the Craving More tier on Patreon. You can subscribe to the regular tier anywhere you listen to podcasts. If you're watching this on YouTube, click that subscribe button. That doesn't cost you a thing. Just make sure that you get these episodes and you don't miss any. And until we meet again, I hope all of you have a very balanced week.